he hands his son Quentin Dolan the COO duties of the New York Rangers. Why now?
I don't think we can ignore the Knicks winning the championship. Dolan can really now be associated with a winning product. Is it coincidental that now he decides to hand over the reins to his son for the Rangers?
Sports and culture all in one. Catch the fire, feel the fun. Andrew Sistad, glad unite. Philly and Y in the spotlight.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 119. We are checking in and diving in on all things New York Rangers offseason. To do so, are you the fourth-time returning guest on this podcast? I think it's fourth time, Derek.
That sounds about right.
Derek Faske of New York's #2 sports show, the place I go, the channel I go for all really good Rangers insight. A really good, I every time you come on, I always talk about it. You do a great job on this Rangers content. I know like you built a really loyal audience with your channel, specifically with the Rangers. I know you also cover the Yankees and the Giants, but your Rangers content is it's by far my favorite Rangers content out there. So again, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, pretty busy last week or so in Rangerland. So happy to dive into all of it.
Yeah, so crazy busy. I think you said pretty busy. I think that's an understatement. We're going to go through the trades. They made 8 somewhat significant trades on a spectrum of significant, of course. They made 2 relevant free agent signings, and they made a huge ownership statement or decision, or maybe the decision was probably made, but they announced it recently. So we'll talk about that. Let's start with trades. What do you think? Derek, hold on. Can you hear me? It says you're not recording. Derek, you're back? We're good? Yeah, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden it said like you weren't recording, yeah. And I couldn't hear anything you said. Oh, it's saying it again now. He's back. Oh, you're still there on your Safari. Let me see if I can get you out of there.
Also, I see the recording still going. I'm not sure if that was by design.
Yeah, I'm just gonna edit it out.
Okay, got it. Sounds
I just don't know which one should I edit out. Which one should I get rid of? Which one are you now? Can you talk for a second?
Yeah. There's 2 of me?
Oh, now there's only one of you. Okay.
I'm on Chrome.
All right. Well, this seems to be better now.
Yeah, it was weird that it didn't pop up right away when we just were talking. And then it just kind of mid 2 minutes in, all of a sudden that popped up with the browser thing.
Yeah,
Strange.
Does Safari not support?
I think it does. Firefox doesn't. I thought Safari did, but Chrome maybe is just more foolproof. So,
okay, apparently, I just Googled it.
Yeah.
Apparently, it does not natively support Riverside. I don't know what that means, but
so that could have been it.
Okay. Well, you're on Chrome now.
I'm on Chrome now.
Problem solved.
All right.
Who's better at solving the problem? You think Chrome or Chris Drury? Who do we trust more?
Probably Chrome.
Yeah, I think so too.
Probably Chrome.
So we started talking about the trades. We started talking about how do you pronounce his name?
Dorofeyev. Pavel Dorofeyev.
Pavel Dorofeyev.
Bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? I don't know. We gotta go back and see what was cut out or not. But you're talking about the trade happened during the first round, towards the top of the first round of the draft.
Yeah.
When I saw the trade, I think we talked about this before. I'm as much as into the Rangers as I am. I'm not deep into the NHL as I am the other 4 main sports. If a trade is made in baseball in the NBA, if the Yankees or Knicks or Jets acquire a player, I can rattle off the profile, the statistics, everything about the player. And most people, the casual fan, would have no idea who that is. That's kind of where I am with the Rangers. So when I saw the trade, I had to look him up. Like, I mean, I've heard of this guy, but I don't know much about him. And then I see the 35 goals, the 37 goals. And I'm like, okay. But then, and I want you to talk about this more, is that obviously then, we found out that they gave him the 7-year extension also. But my concern is a lot of his goals are on the power play. And a lot of his goals seem to be less of a playmaking style and more of a beneficiary of being around playmakers. Should we be concerned about that? Like, is he going from Jack Eichel and elite playmakers to not many playmakers on the Rangers?
I think that's a fair, query to bring up. He is dynamite on the power play. Now, to start there, and that's the thing, right? He has been one of the most prolific power play scorers the last couple of years. The good news is this from a Ranger standpoint. We know this. The Rangers need players that are shoot first, right?
That's true.
If we're to take it one for one and, in terms of Panarin, moving from Panarin to Dorofeyev, like the style of play is very different. Now, Artemi Panarin is one of the most dynamic offensive players. Dorofeyev is he likes to shoot and be set up. Now, here's the good news, I guess I would say, from a power play perspective, where those numbers can continue. While, yes, we're probably not playing with the Jack Eichels and Mitch Marners of the world, may hurt 5-on-5, right? Naturally. The power play post-Panarin last year was very, very effective. Like, I think it was like a top 5 rate after Panarin left. So you got to figure, now you've put Dorofeyev on that right half wall, right? You think about it, you got Fox up top, Zibanejad on the left with that one-timer, Dorofeyev on the other side, and then Lafreniere probably in front. I would want Gabe Pro on there. I have a feeling it'll be JT Miller. And we'll talk about, Vincent Trocheck's no longer on the team. But yeah, I think, I understand some level of concern as far as what is he going to provide you. If he is on who's his center going to be, right? Like, it would either be Zibanejad or JT Miller. And maybe, it might be Miller if they want to stick with the Zibanejad, Lafreniere, Perreault line. So I guess what I like is that he's young. Like, he's 25. We need to get younger. And the Rangers got rid of a lot. I mean, look, they still did get rid of a good amount. First round pick at the end of this past draft, the Keandre Miller draft picks that they got. Yeah. And then they traded a 3rd round pick that they got in the Sam Carrick deal this year, and then a 2028 first round pick, top 10 protected. So, and I'm kind of going on a little bit of a tangent here, but I can accept, I don't love the Rangers trading away draft picks. To me, the Rangers, and they've done a lot of that here, this is a retool. I would have really preferred more of a rebuild, and we can talk semantics as far as the verbiage of those words.
Yeah.
But I know Drury, I know that there's not going to be that patience, and I understand that you have Shesterkin and Fox, and so I understand that it's not so easy to do that. But understand that I don't love the idea of trading away draft picks, but Dorofeyev is exciting and nothing else. The Rangers now have someone that can be potentially a 30 to 40 perennial goal scorer.
Yeah. Okay. I think that part of my skepticism about this trade is partly because I don't know much about him, and then partly just because I don't trust Chris Drury. I just don't trust him.
That's fair. One thing that maybe might make you feel a little bit better. Now, look, who knows when the Rangers will be in the playoffs? He had scored 12 goals in this past playoffs. The only player that scored more goals than him in the entire postseason for any player was actually Brett Howden, which is a scary thought. That's pretty funny. As a Ranger fan. But Dorofeyev, that's right. Whereas we've seen some of our top players kind of fold. And to be fair, Dorofeyev the postseason before, in 8 games, only scored like a goal. But this one, 12 goals, 4 assists, 16 points. Again, a lot of the action on the power play, but at least he rose to the occasion when it counted. So I do value that. And I get it. Like, Chris Drury isn't someone that really should be trusted right now. So I completely get the skepticism.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go through the other trade. So this, I think, in chronological order.
Well,
I think it was Where are you going to say?
Well, we can go if we want to go chronological, we can, or we can go with the more important level trades,
Right.
whatever you want to do. Chronological would be I think technically my trade would be the Korpisalo trade as we move to July 1st. I would say that probably the next of importance would be like a Vincent Trocheck.
Let's do the Trocheck trade.
Yeah.
So they finally traded this guy, and there's rumors around this for almost 2 seasons now, right? They finally move him. What do you think about the return? So they get this defenseman, Sean Durzi, and they get a conditional 3rd-round pick, and they get what this is like a prospect, like a top 6 forward type ceiling prospect.
Cole
Baudouin. Okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the return here?
Obviously this is we're not going to know right away here. I think Baudouin is a very, very key piece to this deal, right? Like they need to hit on him. Right. You didn't get a whole lot back in the way of draft compensation. And again, this speaks to more of a retool, fast track attitude. You're going for guys. And I can, I guess, understand that. Like Baudouin is like, he's fairly close to NHL level. He's not there yet.
Yeah.
He is probably an upside of maybe a 2nd-line center, but could more likely be a 3rd-line center. I think you're looking at one of those two, right? Has had success with Team Canada at the World Junior Championships. Sean Durzi now kind of slides into your top 4 as an offensive-minded defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
He had been with the Kings before, with being, then technically Arizona, which became Utah. So you get some interesting pieces. Durzi has 2 more years left on his deal at $6 million per, and then he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So it's not as if Durzi is necessarily a long-term play, which I was saying on my podcast, like if he does well, you're going to wish that this is obvious. If he does well, you wish you had him longer term. If he doesn't, you're going to be glad that he's only got the 2 years left. So we'll see how he performs. Injury problems have been a thing for him, but I think Baudouin is the real key to this deal. And if he can perform well, then in moving on from Trocheck to Baudouin, like that's a pretty good thing because Vincent Trocheck is about 33 now.
No.
So that to me hinges the entire trade, really.
And part of this is they get off the $5 million cap hit from Trocheck and are able to use it elsewhere. Right.
Yes, and look, Vincent Trocheck, pretty reasonable cap hit too, right? Like you said, that's a decently significant amount to kind of maneuver around. But also, I think part of the reason what made him attractive to other teams is the fact, he's got 3 more years at about maybe $5.5 million or so per year, which isn't egregious by any means. So, but like you said, it also does help you, free up a little bit of cash space. Although technically speaking, Durzi, you end up actually, it's 1 year less of Durzi, but he's $6 million per year. So you actually, I
didn't realize he was at $6 million per year.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're actually one less year, but you're kind of taking on more.
Yes.
Call it about a wash, maybe, but still.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Better or wash is probably what you'd call it.
All right. So, any thoughts on Trocheck's Rangers legacy? I mean, he's been with the team for a while. Big playoff runs.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes. Look, a really good Ranger, all in all. Signed a 7-year deal. Obviously ends up playing 4 of the, 4 years as a Ranger. Came after the Rangers made that conference final run where they lost to Tampa. He essentially replaced Ryan Strome. That was exactly the right move to make. That was definitely one of Chris Drury's better free agent signings. No question about it. A guy that was really, I thought when the Rangers beat Carolina in 2022, I thought Trocheck was one of the best Hurricanes. And that's saying a lot. A team that finally won the Cup. A lot of those current players were not playing as well. I thought Trocheck was really noticeable and a guy that you want to come playoff time. And I think his kind of crowning moment as a Ranger was the 2024 season. On a line with Panarin and Lafreniere. Had a really good regular season, scored like 77 points. I thought his first year, which was under Gerard Gallant, I thought it left a little bit to be desired. It wasn't bad, but, didn't really have a great 7-game series against the Devils. And of course, you remember that playoff run. I was fortunate to be at that game where he scored in double overtime in game 2 against Carolina.
Yep.
Probably the moment we all remember most when you think of Vincent Trocheck as a Ranger. It's kind of right there.
For sure.
But I thought he had one of the more consistent, even through the Florida series. I thought that he was good. And, Trocheck was very durable as well. He only missed time this past season with sort of a freak injury early in the year, which cost him 15 games. So he played, for the first 3 years, 82 games a season. I thought that his defensive game did kind of trend downward, to be honest with you. Look, great face-off guy, a guy that, you want at to protect the lead at the end of the games. But I did, to be fair, and maybe there's different reasons. The Rangers struggling and maybe being less engaged and sort of less focused. Not that that's an excuse, but I feel like Vincent Trocheck's sort of defensive game took a hit, especially playing with Panarin. I don't know, the Panarin Lafreniere Trocheck line really, while it dropped in offensive production the second year under Pierre Laviolette, but also it gave up a lot of goals as well. But look, give Vincent Trocheck credit to close on him. Like, he wins a gold medal, plays a role on that team and more of a fourth line role. And look, Vincent Trocheck, I think Ranger fans will look back at him fondly.
Yeah, I think what was really nice about Trocheck, and I'll look back on him as is those years when they had so much talent and so much skill. He was like one of the main like chirpy, chippy, like get in your face type of guys they had on the team. They didn't have a lot of those, those type of players. They had a lot of skill. And, he's not particularly a very big player, but he did play very big.
And, yeah, I agree completely, Andrew. One thing that's also interesting, and maybe it makes sense now, they named JT Miller captain before last season. Really, at that point, your two main candidates were probably Miller or Trocheck. And maybe looking at the forest through the trees, they knew Miller's contract is more ironclad, for better or worse, and Trocheck's isn't. And I would have been fine not naming captain, but it goes like Vincent Trocheck. The point I'm trying to make is that Vincent Trocheck may have been, in my opinion, certainly a better captain candidate than JT Miller. Like, he probably, in some ways, was, a true leader in that locker room, and that will be something that won't be easily replaced, right? As much as I think trading Vincent Trocheck was the right thing to do, you are losing a pretty big character in the room. One that, like you said, when he first got here, provided a little bit of a different edge than the core had as constituted at that time.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, so Trocheck traded to Utah, and then I think you want to go to
Marcus Pettersson.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. So they acquired Marcus Pettersson from Vancouver. Now, Pettersson's been around for a while. They sent a top 10 protected 2030 first round pick. So not a huge haul. Big defenseman going to his age 30 season though. 5 years remaining at $5.5 million cap, which I don't think 5.5 is not that crazy anymore. I think they probably view him as tell me what you think. You pair him with the offensive minded Durzi on that second defensive pair. My concern with Pettersson, and let me get your thoughts, is apparently the defensive metrics were not very kind. He did not grade out very well last year. His reputation of being a defensive defenseman, it wasn't supported by the metrics last year. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so a lot of thoughts here. Look, this one again, look, it's 2030, so you can in theory recoup that first round pick, and it is top 10 protected. But look, it's not nothing. Again, for a team yes, are the Canucks, when you look at the Canucks and the Rangers, really both teams should be. I know the Canucks are worse off. They're really kind of bare in terms of any real talent currently. But I think the impetus behind this trade, look, it does make you better now. His best years were under Mike Sullivan in Pittsburgh. This was for sure a Mike Sullivan trade when it comes to Marcus Pettersson. Yes, he will be in the top 4, probably with Durzi, although I was thinking about it. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Maybe they do go with a Pettersson-Fox combination as well as Gavrikov-Durzi. Because it's possible that Gavrikov and Durzi were teammates on the Kings. It was something I hadn't thought about until later on. But anyway, Pettersson, a top 4 role. And maybe in Pettersson's defense, in terms of why the defensive metrics weren't great last year, he was on a really, really, really bad Vancouver team. So to be fair to him, maybe that is why he graded out so poorly.
Okay, I can take that. That's fair. All right. What else did I have here on him? All right. So yeah, what do you think about? You're not concerned about the pick, right? Like it's top 10 protected.
I don't love it. I don't love it. I mean, but again, it luckily it's down the road. So like again, maybe somehow if things go off the rails, you can acquire a first round pick that maybe is requisite to that, right? Like a lot can happen between now and then, luckily. But like, look, that could be a really bad Ranger team at that point. Now, if it's top 10 protected, obviously, then it slides to the next year. So we'll see, right? Like you didn't get rid of like a lot in terms of quantity, right? It's just literally one piece.
One pick.
But it very much is sort of a now in the moment move. And again, my mindset is I don't think this Ranger team is a cup contender. And so I would have, been more apt to want to, get more, future assets. But hey, Marcus Pettersson does make your defense a lot better now. The second pair is way better now than it was a year ago.
For sure. I mean, they added 2 legitimate top 4 defensemen, right? So
yes, 100%. Yes, I mean, you were basically rolling out. Arguably, if we were to speak, I mean, like Carson Soucy, Will Borgen was basically for a large portion of last year, like your second pair or some variation of that, right?
Yeah, some variation. Yeah. I think this is. We're both on the same page, Derek. Where it's like we didn't want them to do an aggressive retool. We wanted them to just rebuild and accept like it's going to be a couple of bad years. Drury obviously didn't want to do that. We're going to get to other people that may not have wanted to do that, like James Dolan's son, who's now running the operations. You mentioned Will Borgen. Let's talk Will Borgen, because they traded Will Borgen also in this flurry of action trades. So they traded him to Boston. They get back a 27 second-round pick and a conditional 28 third-round pick, which I think it's like if the Bruins like make the Eastern Conference Finals or something like that, and then it becomes a second-round pick. Yeah. So it's a third-round pick. Just assume it's a third-round pick.
Yeah, I agree. It could have become a second, yes, but you're likely looking at a second and a third. Yeah, look, I mean, when those moves went down, you knew that one of Will Borgen or Braden Schneider was headed out. You just knew that. And so, I'm very much good with this deal. Trading Will Borgen, he had 4 years left at about, $4 million plus. Like, now is the right time to just get to trade Will Borgen. Like, he had moments where, like the beginning of this past season, he was actually good. And then once the Rangers kind of trended downward, so did he. And so, he wasn't a Ranger for long. He was involved in that Capo Caco trade with the Kraken. But yeah, wish Will Borgen well in Boston. I think for the Rangers, this is a good job of, getting some high quality potential draft picks, right? Second and third round pick is pretty solid. What you do with them, of course, is another story. But yeah, it became inevitable that Will Borgen was to be dealt. And I think what you did is, the Rangers desperately need puck moving, offensive minded defenseman. And you've done that. Will Borgen, more of a guy that, is more of a stout, he's got some mobility and physicality, but, not a guy that's really great at getting the shot through. I think that this was sort of the right thing to do. And then with Braden Schneider, he'll likely, I wouldn't call it 100%, but it probably means that Braden Schneider, they'll agree to some deal as he's a restricted free agent currently.
Yeah. And you prefer Schneider over Borgen, right?
Yeah, everything being equal, I do. I'm not the biggest Braden. I know I really wanted Braden Schneider to, develop. He hasn't done that, so I would be in the right deal. I would be okay with trading a Braden Schneider, but yes, between Schneider and Borgen, keep the younger player. And so yes, I am okay with that.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I prefer Schneider over Borgen, but it's not really because I love Schneider so much. Like I'm kind of with you. It's like Schneider showed. I had more hope for Schneider after his first year, really after his first 2 seasons, and he hasn't really progressed. So
yeah, and he was given maybe a difficult but great opportunity when Adam Fox went down, and then he played with Gavrikov. It was so bad.
Oh yeah.
It was so bad. And it was like, okay, well, Braden Schneider has shown that, unfortunately, like, he is just, as long as he's a Ranger, he's likely to be on the third pair. I mean, sure, you could put him on the second pair, you give him some penalty kill time, like he can hold his own to an extent, but during the Trouba days, like I was like, sort of, hey, let's give Schneider, when the chances arise, let's give Schneider a chance, and they finally did, and it didn't really work out. So
yeah, I agree. Next trade, this one, I'm just gonna go to the Korpisalo trade. You got it, Derek. Are you? Tell me if I'm wrong on this one. To me, this is a crazy trade for a backup goalie.
I don't get it. And look, we're not going to go crazy on it because it's not. We've already discussed things that were bigger deals. This one doesn't make sense to me, Andrew. Like, for a number of reasons, and it has to tell you that they don't really believe in Dylan Garand. And Dylan Garand, in only 3 games at the NHL level, looked really good. Has shown success, not all the time, right? Like and Hartford Wolfpack as a team has really kind of gone in the wrong direction since he got there. But Garand is someone that is somewhat highly thought of. And my idea would have been this. Have him be the backup, bring in competition, bring in a veteran who you're, minimum deal, right?
Exactly.
1 year deal. So like, don't hand him the keys. Have there be something better than Spencer Martin. But here's the biggest problem, and we can get into the Korpisalo contract, which that's not great either. For 2 years,
For a backup, it's pretty bad. $3 million a year,
Bruins fans were throwing a party that they got rid of him, and it almost makes me wonder. And I don't think this is the case. The fact that they made the Korpisalo deal when you put the Korpisalo and Borgen deals together, because they both were made on the same day, then it looks a little bit more normal. It's okay. Now I can kind of maybe see this trade. But when you look at just the Korpisalo part of it, we trade them a 4th-round pick in 2028. And Kali Väisänen, which that's not a big deal. Väisänen, I'd be surprised if he becomes an NHL player, so we can kind of disregard that. But Dylan Garand is no longer waiver exempt. He has to clear waivers. So, and in my opinion, I think Dylan Garand would be claimed. I personally, look, maybe I'm not like the biggest Dylan Garand fan, but I think that's someone that a team would see, and he gets paid nothing. Like, so what's your plan here? So if Dylan Garand makes the team, then Joonas Korpisalo, you're burying so then it wouldn't be $3 million against the cap. It'd be like about 1.5. Let's call it about half the contract. You take off the books. I just don't really understand this on a multitude of levels. I don't.
All right, so we're on the same page. Because you're giving up a prospect no one cares about, fine, but you're giving up a 4th-round pick, and you're taking on the $3 million for a backup. And you said if they send him down to the minors, it's 1.5. But then you gave a 4th-round pick to stash a backup goalie in the minors,
right.
Like
for
that
2 years.
For 2 years. For 2 years too. Yeah. I don't know, and this isn't a backup goalie who's been good. I mean, he
hasn't been. As a Blue Jacket years ago, yeah, that was different. He has not been great since he went to Ottawa, and then he got traded for Allmark and went to Boston. Like, now look, could he turn around as a Ranger? And, I know Benoit Allaire is gone. Like, yeah, the Rangers have had some success in terms of turning goalies around. I don't doubt that they could maybe turn this into something okay, but it's the Garand element and a little bit of the contractual element that just has me perplexed. That was a trade that I just looked at and said, I don't know what the thought process was there.
Yeah. All right. We're on the same page. It doesn't make sense to me.
None.
All right. What else is there? So they did the did the Adam Edstrom trade, which is they just sent him out for a 5th-round pick to Nashville, right? That was just get him, see what you can get, whatever you can get from him, take him, right?
Yeah, he fell out of favor. He was someone that really going into this past season, like you looked at the 4th line and you thought in your mind Edstrom, Carrick, Rempe to some degree. And Edstrom, yeah, it just felt like with Mike Sullivan, he really just fell out of favor. It really, he was a healthy scratch for, I want to say, the last 10 to 15 games of the regular season. That told you all you needed to know. There was like some funny business going on there with Edstrom. And, like I could see, look, with his size, like he could be someone that's like halfway decent for the Predators. But yeah, he is now shipped out. And, there was a bit of a logjam, I guess, in terms of 4th line forwards.
Yeah, I was never much a believer of Edstrom.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the slower player. To me, it's just you have to be well above average at so many other things to succeed,
Yeah.
let alone to thrive as like a big slower guy.
I felt like the problem with Edstrom was more so like just a lack of for his size, there wasn't that aggression, in terms of just digging pucks, that real, that grind that you need from a guy on your fourth line. Like you have the frame, and he just was a little bit too passive, Adam Edstrom.
I agree. The other similar trade Edstrom was the Brett Berard trade. So they pretty much send him to Montreal for no one, right? Like they get back this prospect who's not really valued. Am I wrong here?
Essentially, William Trudeau. For Brett Berard. Yeah, I mean, Trudeau is a guy that has only been in the AHL, right? We don't really expect much from him. Is there a world where maybe he gets a handful of games at the NHL level? Maybe, but not a whole lot.
Some injuries, and then he's up playing the fourth line for a few games here and there, right?
Trudeau, I believe, is a defenseman, I believe. But yes, the point still stands.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. But I mean, Berard, and that's unfortunate because I thought Brett Berard, he was a guy that I actually watched a little bit in the World Junior Championships with Team USA. I was like, look, like for a 5th round pick, like this guy has got like, he's sort of a buzzsaw. Like even he's a very diminutive, the opposite of Edstrom, very small in stature, but really was someone that I thought there was a little bit of promise. He scored 6 goals 2 seasons ago, and then just last year, it never worked out for Brett Berard. And so now he goes back to Jeff Gorton drafted him, and now he's on his team. So,
and was this just we give up on him? We're not going to. He has no chance of making our lineup. What is behind this?
So here's part of the problem as well here, right? And it's the fact that like Edstrom and like Garand, now they are not exempt from waivers. So they would have had to have cleared, right? So I think that plays into it where it's like, you can't just. And they're looking at this and projecting out the roster, and they're saying to themselves, it's unlikely that they're going to make it. So let's just try to,
so it's
change the scenery and get a little something back while you can.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? They made that draft trade, right? So they took the 5th round pick from Edstrom, combined it with another 5th round pick,
and moved up, right?
Move up into the 4th round where they took Spencer Bowes.
Yeah.
What do you know about this guy?
Look, I don't know, in terms of the draft picks, other than I guess Schmitz, not a whole lot. There didn't seem to be that much excitement around Bowes. Like it seemed like there was more excitement for some of the other draft picks. Again, who the hell knows? But I guess they had a thought in mind there to move up in the draft, and that's what they did. Again, I'm more in the way of like, let's maybe trade down and, but again, like, they clearly had their eye on him, and the Edstrom trade was kind of used as a way to move up and get the guy.
Okay, I mean, look, we really can't judge that trade anytime soon.
No,
like we probably will just forget about it completely.
Right. It probably will amount to not much, right? Unless Adam Edstrom became something for the Predators, we're probably going to look back on the trade and it with not a whole lot. At least I hope so.
So 8 trades by a general manager who we don't trust, who has done very little right. I don't do Rangers. What's the? I mean, you have a big Rangers fans community with your podcast. Are people feeling confident? Are people happy?
Look, I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag where I think most of the fan base is anti-Drury, but it felt like the sentiment. And look, we all want to, if we can. You want there to be some level of optimism for the future, right? Like you don't just naturally, but I think you and I are very realistic as far as of where this team's going. And I think a lot of the fans are as well, but it felt like the sentiment was that Drury did well with what was done in the past week. But look, we don't really know the answer to that. We won't know the answer to that for a long time, but breaking down trade by trade, it felt like people were kind of giving Drury credit that this was, one of Drury's better off seasons, which is the bar set low there. And I don't know, I'm not fully on board with that, but you got to get younger. And they're trying to do that, but it's not 100% that way either.
All right. Free agency. They made a few signings. We're only going to talk about the two prominent ones with the for NHLers. So, Bjorkstrand, what do you want to start with? Who do you want?
Let's
they got Joe Valon.
Oliver Bjorkstrand.
Okay.
I mean, look, I like that it's a 1-year deal, and I believe it was was it $4.5 million for Bjorkstrand?
$4.5 million for 1 year.
Yeah.
So he's entering his age 31 season. This is a guy who I had to double check when I first saw it, because this guy was a goal scorer. This guy went from 22 to 24. He scored 28, 20, and 20.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was injured 2 seasons ago and then scored just 12 goals in 80 games last season. So the Rangers are getting a player based on his standard stats, and seems on his age, you figure he's on the decline, even though, going to age 31 season is not old. I don't know. Do you think, is this like a 1-year prove it deal? Maybe he has a bounce back year. Maybe, that's the hope.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like this move for the sense that, look, you hope that if nothing else, if the Rangers aren't a playoff team, that you can flip that Bjorkstrand is productive, and then you flip him right by the deadline. Right, he's very tradable. Now it may not come to fruition, but Bjorkstrand, like you said, he had years of Columbus of being a guy that I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think he might have 5 20-goal seasons. This is a guy that has scored in this league, had success with the Seattle Kraken. And Bjorkstrand is coming off of a year with the Lightning where, look, opportunity wasn't as much. Ice time was down. Apparently, there was some bad luck there where he did have maybe some tap-ins that he didn't score, that didn't score on, which speaks to two things. Look, you hope that he can score those goals, but the fact that he put himself in those situations is a good sign. So, yeah, the Rangers, you don't want him taking time away from young players, right? I want to make that clear, but the Rangers are so thin on legitimate options in the top 9 that getting Bjorkstrand, look, he's going to be on the second or third line, ideally the third, but he might be on the second. And so, I'm very okay with taking a flyer on Oliver Bjorkstrand.
You mentioned something interesting, Derek. I actually, as soon as you started saying it, I was like, oh yeah, good point about they could flip him. It's a 1-year deal. Don't you think? But based on this flurry of moves, all this action by Drury, the goal is clear to be good where they're contending for a playoff position. There's no way that Drury comes. That's part of Drury's thought process, right?
Probably not. But I think that it being a 1-year deal as opposed to a 2-year deal makes it a lot more possible that it can happen. And look, maybe it's a mutual thing on Bjorkstrand's camp and the Rangers side, right? Maybe both of them felt like a 1-year pact was the way to go. So Bjorkstrand can rebuild some value and somehow get a contract better. But I think from the first thing I thought of was, okay, this is tradable. I have to think that Chris Drury, that it was somewhere in the back of his mind that was in play there, right? Okay. In the fact of it being a 1-year deal as compared to a multi-year deal.
I do feel hopeful with Bjorkstrand. This is a guy who 2 years ago, if he went into free agency 2 years ago, he would have gotten a pretty big deal. He would have gotten 4 years, $20 million.
Yeah, what were his numbers? Yeah, what were his numbers if you have that in front of you? Because I think I was impressed by what he had done a couple seasons ago. And I can pull that up as well.
Yeah, I had a note here that he scored 28 goals and then he scored 20 and 20. So yeah, let's take a look.
Yeah, he actually combined with the Kraken and Lightning had 21 goals the year prior. He was consistently that's impressive. He really was. And the year he had 18 goals in the 56 game shortened season. This was a consistent 20 goal scorer.
Yep.
Every year, and then it really dropped. Right,
every year.
Like you said, Andrew. Yeah, that contract would have been a lot higher than it was coming off of this past campaign. For sure.
Yeah, and he's going to his age 31 season. It's not like it's not like that's old.
He's not ancient.
There should be something there, but it is puzzling that last season in 80 games, 12 goals, 20 assists, minus 14 plus minus. Which I know we both aren't too into plus minus. But.
Yeah, no, it does seem like the play dropped off 100%, and part of it, the ice time was down, and maybe for good reason. But look, being on a more of a more loaded Lightning, we know some of that top 6 core, he couldn't crack that. But figure we'll see him on the second power play unit. look, could that Lightning season be sort of the beginning of a real steep decline for him? Maybe, but you hope it was maybe more of an outlier, and now being more on a team like with the Kraken where there's more opportunity for Bjorkstrand, that the statistics can kind of increase with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's why I'm hopeful. I think if you look at even going, you basically look from 2020 to the 2020 to 2021 season through the 24 to 2025 season, this was a good player.
Yes.
So I'm hopeful. Out of all the moves, I feel like this is probably my favorite one because I think this is such low risk, high reward.
Totally.
I'm very hopeful for him.
Yeah, totally. And the Rangers are not a team that's really they're not completely cap strapped right now. They're not in an amazing place, but there's a little bit of flexibility. So in terms of the 4.5, you feel that's a little bit rich, which it really probably isn't. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to dislike with this, other than if it did take time away from young players, and like I just said before, like there's enough to go around where Bjorkstrand by itself is not really going to take away from like a Gabe Perreault or an Alexis Lafreniere and so on and so forth.
All right, Joe Veleno.
Yes.
I don't know much about this guy other than he's a center. He's entering his age 27 season, another 1-year contract. He's been like a fourth liner, essentially no offense, like a reliable, like a few minutes a game type of guy. Anything on him?
Fourth line center, right? He essentially takes the Sam Carrick role, but they're different. Veleno a lot younger, so you're somehow hoping that Veleno, that there's look, he kind of is what he is, but maybe there's a little bit of a bump that can occur. He played 60-plus games on a good Montreal team. It was kind of a healthy scratch. I think he played about half of their playoff games for the Habs. Didn't provide a whole lot of offense. Does have speed. So you're hoping that the identity of the fourth line is more of a speed-based unit. So that's one of the positives with Veleno. But yeah, you're not going to get a lot of offense. You will get some penalty kill time. It's $1.2 million on the contract, only a 1-year deal. Don't love the Joe Veleno signing, but also at the time, I didn't really love the Sam Carrick deal. Now, that was more because it was a 3-year deal, and he ended up impressing. He ended up being someone who was a lot better than I would have thought. So maybe the same can be said here with Veleno. But,
again, it's, worst case scenario, you're looking for a new fourth line center.
Yeah, and there was a need, like in terms of fourth line center, there truly was a need at that position.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to, I guess this is more of a big picture topic, but so James Dolan was handed ownership of MSG by his father. James Dolan has had a lot of struggles as COO of the Knicks and the Rangers. Obviously, the Knicks lately, we all know what's happened with the Knicks. But with the Rangers, who've been a very successful franchise over the last 20 years, they haven't won a Stanley Cup. He hands his son, Quentin Dolan, the day-to-day, the COO duties of the New York Rangers. So, a couple questions here. Why is it just the Rangers? Why now? Why is ownership involved in the day-to-day duties of running of the Rangers anyway? Like, why? I feel like that should not be a thing. What are your thoughts?
I don't think we can ignore the Knicks winning the championship like here, right? Where now, Dolan, he can be really just associated with Jim, that is, can really now be associated with a winning product. And the Rangers who are struggling, like, I don't think we can completely discount that, like, the timing here. Is it coincidental that now he decides to hand over the reins to his son for the Rangers? And look, this may have already been really taking place. We just didn't know about it. It's possible that Quentin Dolan was already had his hands very much deep into the New York Rangers, and we just weren't aware of it, right? I think that's very possible.
It's likely. Yeah.
Yes. So, look, I wish, as a Ranger fan, that Jim Dolan, and this isn't going to happen clearly, but so this is pie in the sky, but that he would have sold. Like, the best case scenario for me would be for Jim Dolan to sell the Rangers. So Quentin Dolan is, I guess, a step up because it can't get much worse than Jim Dolan as far as I'm concerned when it comes to the Rangers. Even though, like you said, Andrew, there has been a definite level of success in the last 20 some odd years. Like there's been a lot more good than bad despite not having won a cup. So yeah, I wonder how much Quentin Dolan is involved. It might be more than we want. It might be. And I guess the order of command is Chris Drury goes to Quentin Dolan goes to Jim Dolan. Like that is what it is, currently speaking.
Yeah, it just seems, I don't know. It's, I guess some of like without knowing, it's not really fair to Quentin. Like he didn't do anything wrong, but like it's not only does he get handed, this like toy, right? But like his dad was handed it just makes it, it does. I think there's just another obstacle there when you get handed things down from generation to generation, as opposed to you building it and earning it yourself. And I mean, and that's just, it's not really fair to Quentin because I don't know anything about him. We don't know anything about him. Maybe with him and his dad, like he's done what he had to do and did earn it. I know, like he went to NYU and whatever. But it makes me skeptical. But that's it.
Yeah, I hope he's not like his dad. I really do, in terms of just getting involved and causing distractions and being petty. Like, I just don't want... I hope that there's a little bit more of, honestly, a maturity, not being, so thin-skinned. I hope that Quentin, can provide, again, forgetting about even the moves that are made, which is the most important thing, but just representing the team. I hope there's a maturity that supersedes his father.
I agree. And that brings me to my next question. I don't know if this is true with your life, but a lot of people see what their parents do and either replicate it or they go in the opposite way.
Yeah.
Do you think that it matters? Because Quentin Dolan's like in his early 30s.
Yeah.
So he's of a generation that has a much different perspective than James Dolan. Perhaps he looked at and noticed and saw what his father was doing and how he acted, how he talked, or how he didn't talk to the media, and how he didn't expect his employees to talk to the media, how he handled things both on a public stage and a private stage, how he ran the organizations and said, you know what, I don't like the way he did this, that, and this, and I'm going to do it differently. That's my hope. What do you think?
I hope so. And you hope that James is doing this because he sees that his son is ready for it. Not because he doesn't want to deal, not because it's convenient, because it's earned. And because he actually, has an understanding of the New York Rangers. Not so, again, because for Jim, it is, I think he cares, he absolutely cares about the success of the Knicks and the Rangers, but you do wonder motives at times. And I hope that you're right in what you're saying, and that this isn't a train wreck, where you have where you have a 31-year-old, sort of running, controlling operations with Chris Drury, by the way, who we don't exactly trust. So so that can be a bit scary, but you just have to hope that somehow he can understand in this modern world and day and age that maybe there is something that he can provide that his father couldn't.
All right. Derek, tell everyone where to find you, how to get your content, and what your content is.
Yep. So, the channel is New York's #2 sports show on YouTube. And we're now, we're doing content on Instagram and TikTok as well, which is nice. Trying to get the name out there. Like Andrew said, Rangers is big for us. Right now it's Yankee season, and they're, as we're recording this, really in the midst of major struggles. Hopefully,
huge win streak. They've won 12 in a row.
Yes. that's the real reality. So yeah, we're at Yankee season right now. New York Giants isn't too far away, so those are really the main teams that I discuss, and we talk a little bit about other New York teams as well. But yeah, I mean, it is a time of year where, it's a little bit slower, especially after all these Ranger moves, but it's going to pick up pretty soon.
Yeah. All right, Derek, thanks for joining. I feel like I hope everyone listening has a better idea of what the Rangers did this offseason. A little bit more insight. We really appreciate the insight. Look, I don't have a great feeling about the team. I know it seems like you are probably around where I am, but I hope we're wrong. I hope they surprise us, and I hope a few months into the season we're talking about like how good they are and like are they a real contender?
I just want this team to somehow become, and again, I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I want them to become a cup contender. Like, I think the best we can hope for this year is them like squeaking into the playoffs, which we would enjoy. Which we would enjoy. Don't get me wrong.
I'll sign up for it.
No, me too. Me too. I just don't want you to have to kick. I hope we're not kicking the can down the road here
and
just delaying the inevitable. Like,
no, I think that's what we're doing, but we're going to root for them to be successful anyway.
It'll feel a lot better if we have some success. I mean, the last 2 seasons were really, in different ways, were really tough watches. So
for sure.
Andrew, I really hope that some decisions made here can prove beneficial for this upcoming 26-27 season.
Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Derek, thanks for joining. Everyone, please give us a like, please subscribe, and check out Derek's podcast as well. We'll see you next time.
Philly pride insists that's all. Andrew Rappin and Wild Bulls. Together they talk sports and dreams. Right behind the scenes. It seems. Philly versus NY. Who the call? Who's the greatest? Who will fall with this rivalry? Loud and clear. Join the chat. It's time to cheer. Sports and culture all in one. Catch the fire, feel the fun. Andrew Sistat, glad unite. Philly NY in the spot.